Ladies and gentlemen, this is Anthony Blackwell from Interviews with Everyday People, episode 120 with Joe Davis. Now, I think this is the first time I have to go back and look at the tapes, but I think this is the first time where Interviews with Everyday People and pro wrestling may have crossed paths. It may have happened one other time, but I think this is the first time I've actually had like talent on. I think I've had wrestling podcasts on, but I think this is the first time an actual talent came on. And I gotta say, I wish I had a better one because Joe Davis is such a scumbag. He's just a horrible, horrible human being. Why did I agree to do this?
You agreed to do this for the reason you just said, because it's talent. You have a talent on here, and I'm just messing. What's going on, buddy?
Yeah. Joe Davis, I got to say, out of all the people I have met in the wrestling business, man, you are a treasure. I love you to death. I am super happy we have gotten to cross paths and work at countless different places. You have an extraordinary story. We have so much to dive into of things you've accomplished and done in and outside of wrestling, commentary, and personal life stuff. So I'm very pumped to sit down and talk to you and get this story out. And I hope a lot of people get to translate this. And the door's open for more wrestling people to come on and tell those stories outside the ring, because there's a lot of really inspirational people. I believe someone who's going to be on the show in the upcoming future is somebody I'm rocking their t-shirt, hint, hint, that also had some similarities with you as well. The live chat is open, so if anybody wants to comment, hang out, chat along with us, or any questions you may have, we can dive into that. I will get into our Patreon and all that housekeeping stuff towards the end of the show. So if you're looking for that, all the links are below for Patreon merchandise and all that stuff, and we'll come back around to that to the end. But Joe, thank you, man. Thank you for hanging out with us.
No, thank you. I love doing things with you. Like, we've chatted a lot, obviously, and been on things with you in the past, and it's my favorite. I don't care. I'm gonna hurt other people's feelings. Hanging with you on a podcast is my favorite thing.
I appreciate that. We got some beers going. He's drinking Yingling. I'm drinking Guinness Harp. So I usually have the Yingling, but today it's close to St. Paddy's Day, so I have to drink some Guinness. But let's go back to the beginning here. Obviously, pro wrestling, you do managing, you do commentary. Is there have you ever trained match? Do you ever wrestled? How did you get into all this?
Yeah, never been a wrestler, done some training. I'm also a booker for 3 different places.
That's right, you're promoter and booker, yeah.
Yeah, so do a few other things. Not going to say I'm fully trained. I've definitely done some training. I say enough to get me by, because the wrestling part of things, I got started a little late. So my body only has so many on its bump card. And I'm aware of that. So I know my mouth can carry me more than my body. So I try to rely on that more than anything.
Yeah. So what got you into this pro wrestling field?
So I've always loved wrestling. Like, this is how all the stories start, right? 7 years old or whatever. I've loved it for my entire life. You know, a lot of people grew out of it. People like you and I never did. And so
I had a little bit of a break. I had a huge MMA break where I fell in love with MMA, and then I stopped watching wrestling altogether, and then I came back, and now I think I don't even watch pro sports. I'm so consumed in all pro wrestling because there's so much to watch.
Oh, it's an amazing time for it. Yeah. So really, it was just one of those things where I don't know if you want me to get into it now, but it was more. A lot of changes happened in my life when I was like 32, 37 now. And so I needed to not just fulfill what the world wanted me to as far as making money and all that. I wanted to personally be happy. So I decided one day to reach out and get into the world of pro wrestling. And we're going on 5 years now. And I love it. I love every minute of it. Even when it's stressful, I love it. Didn't think I'd be on the business end of it as far as booking and things, but I'm actually I'm loving that too. So, we're having a lot of fun with it.
Did you have a vision of what you were going to do at a wrestling show and then fell into that? Or was it kind of like, I'll do anything you ask me to, and then like typical pro wrestling where you're just like, I'm here to help, and they're like, try that, and then you just kind of just start doing it?
Well, can I name drop on here? Is that okay?
Absolutely, please. All the names in the world.
Okay, so basically, like 5 years ago, somehow I had a friend of a friend that I realized was into wrestling. Love him or hate him, I love him, is Keith Zimmer. And so I reached out to Keith Zimmer. He's a promoter, been doing it for a long time. I said, hey, man, really like to get into this wrestling thing. I want commentary because that's what I went to school for. I have some history in that. What can I do? And he goes, you know what? Show up at this place, this time, and maybe you can carry some ring boards, help set the ring up. And that's how, you know, you can introduce yourself to people. Said, cool. So I got there, and I don't know if I mixed up the time changed. I was 4 hours early to call time. All right. So call time was 2. I was there at 10. Oh. And there's nobody there. I'm like, well, I'm not going to leave because I'm waiting. So this other car pulls up, and it's, guy gets out, and I introduce myself. He's like, where is everybody? I'm like, I don't know. So we're both 4 hours early for this thing. His name is Dave Keller. And for those of you who don't know, he's done Ultimate Wrestling in Northern New York. He does video production, all this stuff. So we're literally chatting for 3 hours. Nobody is there. So we're doing whatever, and he's telling me about what he does. And he gets a call, and the call is he's the commentator too, play-by-play. Mm-hmm. He's like, oh, damn it, my color commentator just bailed on me. He goes, do you know anybody that knows how to commentate? So I haven't even carried a ring board yet, Anthony. And I'm like, I know a guy. It's me. And he's like, you sure you can handle it? I'm like, yeah. So, you know, I help carry the ring boards. We do the whole spiel. And then I get on commentary after the show. He goes, I've been commentating for like 10 years. He goes, you are the best I've ever worked with. And it went, and it just kind of grew from there. The managing was always part of the plan, but honestly didn't come until a couple years later. So I guess that's how I started in the business.
That's awesome. Now you said you went to school for commentary. Walk us through that. You went for public speaking or public journalism. How did you jump into that?
Yeah. So actually I wanted to be a sports broadcaster since I was 13 years old. So even in high school, I was getting my hands on everything I could. 15, 16 years old, I hooked up. I weaseled my way in. I was in the minor league hockey world. I was the Paul Heyman. So I would just scoop in and just not get noticed and observe. Well, I eventually got to the point where they offered me an internship at like 15, 16, and they didn't do internships till like 18. And once again, I got on the radio. They're like broadcast for their games in Binghamton here. And then eventually, I went to school for it in the Cortland area. And so I did all the, I actually went to school for communications with a minor in sports broadcast, and they had like an emphasis. I forget what they called it. So I did all the college sports. I did the production end, all that kind of stuff. So I went to college for it, graduated, and, did some stuff with NASCAR. I interned with NASCAR in that time frame. So from probably 16 to 21, 22, I started out schlepping and carrying all the bags for everybody because, you could only get into what they call hot pass, the pits, once you're 18. So 16, 17, and I'm carrying bags and all that stuff. And then eventually I became 18, and I got to interview you name them back in like 2000 to 2002, 3. I got to interview every name you could think of and hang out in NASCAR at Watkins Glen. Yeah.
Who was your favorite?
My favorite had to be Ryan Newman.
Okay. I was a fan of his partner.
Okay. Which
teammate? Rusty. I was a Rusty.
Oh fan. Yeah. Rusty Wallace. I won't tell the story about Rusty Wallace because it shouldn't be said on air, and I don't want to, but he was a cool dude too.
Yeah. I met him when I was very young, and I didn't have anything for him. I mean, I had tons of autograph, but I wanted a certain thing autographed. So we're in the line at like a Ford dealership, and I walk up, and it looks like a blank piece of paper, and he goes to sign. I go, no, flip it over. I just printed it off my computer. I was a kid. And he flipped it over, and he started belly laughing, and he called everyone over. He goes, come look at this. And it's when he hit Jeff Gordon, and he put him in the wall at Richmond, when Jeff Gordon did it to him at Bristol. When Gordon hit him out of the way to win the race at Bristol, and he hit Gordon out of the way to win the race at Richmond. And I have the picture of him hitting Gordon, the smoke pouring off the tires.
Oh, nice.
And I said, I have one question, Rusty. Did you mean to do it? He goes, 100%.
He's a character. Rusty Wallace People don't realize, like, they think he's this good old boy veteran, and he is. But he was a character. Ryan Newman was cool. He got my vote because I did my interview with him, and I had like 2 hours before I think I had to go interview Jeff Gordon, and I had nothing to do. It was 110 degrees outside. He's like, "You look like you're really hurting, kid." I'm like, "Oh, it's hot out here." He's like, "Come in." So he invites me to these trailers. Have you ever been to these NASCAR guys' trailers?
Never.
It's a house, dude. So we get into this trailer. It's like 2 stories. He's got a living room, and like he had, I'm not kidding, his own hot dog grill, like one of those things you see at a 7-Eleven. And he's like,
it's all pro wrestling. It's all pro wrestling.
Yeah, it really is. So I had a hot dog and chilled out with Ryan Newman. So he's always been my favorite. Tony Stewart's the biggest jerk I've ever met in my life. We won't go into that, but it was fun. We had a good time.
Nice. Yeah. So you said you live in the Cortland area?
Right now I live in Binghamton. I went to school Cortland area.
Okay, so that's where my dad lives now. He actually lives in Cortland. Really cool town. Yeah, he moved up there for work. Yeah.
It's where Mick Foley also went to school.
Really? In Cortland?
Yes. Mick Foley is a Cortland Red Dragon as well.
Is that a college or is that high school he went there?
No, college. Yeah.
College.
Yeah.
I know. Didn't he go to high school with Kevin James or something like that from the King of Queens?
Yes, he did. They're on the wrestling. They're on the wrestling team together. Mm-hmm.
Fun facts. Now, for more you know.
The more you know.
Real quick, because we do the live stream thing here, I want to thank Mike for the like on Facebook, and also Anthony Wilcox. He might be someone you know, and Mark Bushhold for the hearts on Facebook. So thank you for the interaction and the comments. If you are watching live, you don't have to comment if you're not comfortable, but the live chat is open. You can chat with us, or you can just hit that share button. It really, really helps us out, and get more eyes on the prize here. But awesome. So you're in the wrestling world. You're there to move boards, become a commentating. When does the hey, I think you'd be a good manager kick in there?
So it was funny. The idea got in my head after my first show, and I'm like, I got an idea here. I didn't know how to formulate it yet, and I had to bide my time. So a couple years down the road, I'm setting up for commentary, and so Jeff Thomas, who's a great friend of mine, and he was part of a tag team called Ring Crew Warriors. Keith had approached them because I love those two, but they couldn't do promos. And Keith was like, "What do you guys think about having a manager?" And they're like, "Yeah." So they didn't know who. Literally an hour before the show, Jeff comes up to me. He goes, "Hey, you got to change of clothes?" I'm like, "Yeah, I always do." He's like, "All right, you're our manager tonight." I'm like, "Oh, okay. I guess we're doing this now." So what's funny about my first match as a manager and my first bump in the ring in front of a crowd is we were against Robbie Vegas and Mad Dog. And Mad Dog was my first bump on a live show.
Nice. Well, he was just recently on Tornado Tech podcast. Very, very cool guy.
Mm-hmm. One of my favorite people. But yeah, so my vision, even when I was just commentating, was, in indie wrestling, there's so many companies, there's so many territories and areas. What if I became a manager and I could build a stable or a faction where, everybody's booked all over the place, but they carry one moniker. So even if I can't make a show because I'm on another one, I'm still represented. Let's be real. I have an ego and I want to get out there. So
everybody in wrestling has one at some point, right?
So I'm like, so if we got 3 shows, what if I had guys all over? And even if I'm not there, they're still repping Team JD, and it's fine. It took a while, but it came to fruition. COVID actually helped me more than anything to get that over. So that was my vision, and we're kind of getting there, but there's a lot of work to do. But that was kind of my vision to start with, and kind of where I am now. And, I always wanted to be that Bobby the Brain Heenan. I wanted to be manager and commentator.
I love it.
That's what I've always wanted to do.
Well, in the chat, Eric Pin had over on the YouTube side. So if you are watching this on Facebook, please show us some love on YouTube. We're really, really close to 1,000 subscribers. That would help us out a lot. Make YouTube pay us. But he says you both have fantastic shirts. Where you were in the Hitman Heart, and I'm wearing the Diamond City War Machines. I almost wore my Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby the Brain Heenan shirt, but I said, you know what, I'm going to go with the Diamond City. I'm gonna rep the Team JD, which you kind of alluded to. So they're in the independent world. If you're not, people who don't know, there's two big stables, at least that I can really speak on, and that's the Goons. The Goons are everywhere, and the Goons they have a manager as well, Big Dust, and it's usually Big Dust and Killian, and then you can just add Goons here, and then there's Goons adjacent and guys who are on the Goons, but then they go wrestle, but they're still considered the Goons, and they go all over the up and down the East Coast, and they're a big wrestling stable. And you're kind of the second one that I know that does that as well, where Team JD is being represented at different companies, and it's a really, really cool thing. And here's a photo here of some of your team JD here.
That's part of, yeah, that's part. So we're at PPW there, where we're actually at PPW, we're a group called Sins, but it's all interconnected. You know what I'm saying? That's strength and numbers and size. But yeah, I mean, it's still the same. It's the same concept, same idea. Those are some big dudes. Yeah, those are some big dudes right there, without a doubt. I was on my tiptoes right there, Anthony, because I didn't want to look too short.
I was there when this photo was taken, and you were definitely on your tiptoes.
Yeah, and I might have been levitating. I'm not sure, but it was damn close.
And every single guy in that photo is just a absolute teddy bear sweetheart. Don't let those big muscles and scary faces fool you. They're all big gentlemen.
I don't know, that pinhead.
That pinhead's scary. I watched him bleed almost to death at a wrestling show.
Scary, dude.
That's fantastic. So is it, I know there's a couple shows that we've got to work on, and I remember it wasn't the last show, but the show before, we were supposed to do the main event together, because kind of the thing at PPW that I really look forward to is working with you, and sometimes it only works out that I only get to do the main event with you, and I'm like, man, I love playing. Like, I don't really like to play a character, because I think I'm mostly getting booked because I'm the podcast guy, and I want to kind of stay true to my brand, because I think that's important to me, just like your brand, Team JD, is important to you. So I don't want to kind of go in there and just make up a character and then people see me on the podcast and it's different. You know, I want to kind of keep universal. Yeah. But also on the podcast, I am a fan of some heels, and I will defend them till the day I die. You know what I mean? So on commentary, there's some people that I root for that are heels, and then there's the extreme baby faces I root for. But I really like working with you on commentary, because I get to play into a heel more, and I don't really get that at a lot of wrestling shows. There's people who play heels, and then there's people who really play heels, and there's sometimes when it's forced. I know we had this conversation, like, yeah, there always should be a heel, and I disagree, because if someone's trying to be a heel and they suck at it, I hate it. I'd rather someone who's genuine are really, really good at it. So I really look forward to it. But there's some shows where you're managing 4 or 5 times, then you come and do commentary, and then this night you actually blew your voice out because you were screaming so much.
It was, yeah, man. So it was two shows ago. You're right.
Yeah, I
blew my voice out, and I was starting to get sick. In fact, Doc had took my temperature. He's like, "Yeah, you got a fever," and my voice was gone. Mm-hmm. And so, like, I felt bad. I've never done this before, but it was probably the match after intermission, and I was like, mm-hmm. I can't go. Like, I can't, because as much as I wanted to, I don't want the product to look like junk, because I have a bad raspy voice. And my commentary voice is not how I'm talking right now. You know, it's like, it's a whole different thing. You know, it's like, yeah, look at this guy right here or whatever. You know, what is this guy doing? And so I didn't want it to be garbage. Right. Mm-hmm. So I had to, and I felt bad about it. But hopefully that gave, you guys more time to shine and, get those reps in, because it's anything in any business, it's repetition. So the more reps you can get in.
I'm tired after a long day of helping with the meet and greet and doing commentary. I can't imagine how you do managing and commentating. That is a haul. That's a long, and you don't drive. I mean, you have a pretty long hike to get to some of these wrestling shows.
Yeah. Most of them are 2 hours one way. So 4-hour round trip, 5-hour round trips. Mm-hmm. Makes a long day for sure. I'll tell you what though, and you're right. There's days, because it's not just PPW, there's every promotion pretty much. I'm commentary and I'm managing. I'm doing both. And some I had the third title of Booker. And it's bad sometimes, but I tried to do play-by-play a couple times, and that is the worst of all.
I hate it.
I could not imagine. I could not imagine doing play-by-play for 10 matches straight. I don't know how guys like Paul Bowe do it, and he ring announces. Like,
yeah,
no way. I couldn't do it.
If I did ring announce, if I did play by play, I would sound like Vince McMahon. I'd be like, what a maneuver. Like,
right.
I would,
yeah.
It's tough. It's super. It's not easy. And people think, and it's funny because the play by play guys, like, I couldn't imagine ever doing color. And I'm like, oh my God, color is great. Like, I could tell the story. I can put things over like that normally, try to make it sound realistic because I also love MMA. So I was like, man, this guy, he's shaking. And actually one time, I don't know if I was working with you this match, but it was Deshaun Pratt versus Bobby Fish. It was Bobby Fish's first match on the independent scene, and Bobby Fish catches Deshaun Pratt with a kick, and Deshaun blocks it, but it hits him in his forearm. And the whole time, like, because I'm an MMA fan, Deshaun's shaking his hand out. He's shaking his hand out. I'm like, man, either, and I kind of lifted my headset. And I said to you and Paul, I said, either his arm is broke or he is a genius at selling, because that's what somebody with MMA would do, is they shake their hand out when they feel like when they lose that sensation. And he wrestled the whole match. And then after the match, because I kept calling to her, like, I think his arm's hurt. I think his arm's hurt. He keeps shaking out that hand. And then you find out he actually shattered his forearm. Like, I was like, holy shit. Like,
he's just,
Yeah, he's just coming back.
He's just coming back now. Yeah, I mean, and he finished that thing. But yeah, you're right. We were on that call together, and and that's the stuff that being in. I like MMA, but I wouldn't say I was ever a hardcore fan. See, I wouldn't notice that kind of stuff. So
yeah,
if you say that, I'm gonna hype that. I'm gonna go with that on commentary, because you want to go with each other on commentary, not against each other. With color, it's one of those things. I got brought up in color commentary with hockey, which it's not the same. You're not trying to be a heel in hockey. You're enhancing, you're adding facts, you're adding, story still to it.
Stats.
But yeah, stats, things like that. But like, hockey is so fast paced that the play-by-play guy is talking 80% of the time. So hockey's a great way to break into color, because you just got to sprinkle it in here and there.
Now, here's a question for you.
It's translated really well to wrestling.
I don't want to say that like play-by-play doesn't have a place in wrestling, because it 100% does. But like, no one, for me anyway, I have a hard time sometimes. Like, someone's like, oh, I don't know how to do, like, we were at a show recently where we don't know how to do play-by-play. I'm like, well, let's all just kind of do it. I said, me personally, I love a good play-by-play, but if you don't know what you're doing, don't force it. So if we're all three color guys, call your color, but if a move happens during your color, just announce it, because wrestling is at the point now where no one's listening at like a radio station where you can't hear. Like that hockey game, somebody might be listening in their car, and they want that play-by-play because they want to visually think in their mind what they're like, the puck setup, the what that first down, like, anything like. And so in wrestling, that's really not a thing where you're always looking for that play-by-play, because you're visually watching it, where more the color is going to keep you, well, oh, okay, that makes sense because I see it, and then he's tying that story together.
And that's the thing with sports, professional sports outside of wrestling. That's kind of the whole genesis, right, of commentary.
Yeah,
it was on the radio, so you literally had to tell a story with just audio. And so that's the entire premise of the whole thing. So hold on one second. I apologize, Anthony. Go ahead and talk. I can hear you.
You're good. You're just, the camera's a little choppy, but we'll get it there. But yeah, so I feel like we covered the wrestling aspect of it. I just want to throw some more stuff up here that, because the thing about being a wrestling fan and also getting to work in a business is we're giant marks. And we love the opportunity to have a story and an experience to tell. I love nothing more of being like, what did you do this weekend? I'm like, you'll never believe it. I was in a ring and I raised Earl Hebner's hand in a ring as if I was the referee. And there it is right there. There
me. It is. Nice. Killer Cross.
And like
Karrion
Killer Cross, Karrion Cross, your wife, Brooke.
My wife's in that.
She is. those are the moments that like I tell people like you're full of shit, and I'm like, dude, the things that happen at wrestling shows are unbelievable. Like another one, you got to meet him way more than I did. I met him twice, but another a legend in the business that you actually got to have some interaction with in the ring right here, Jimmy Hart, the mouth of the South, the mouth versus the mouth.
I got to hang out with Jimmy that whole day. I met him a few times, obviously, but I got to hang out with him that whole day for about 3 hours. Nicest guy, and everybody says this because it's true. Nicest guy, very generous. What was cool about Jimmy that day, so we had our spots, and in the locker room, so how do I say this the right way? And I don't blame them, but a lot of big stars, they'll really kind of be absent in the locker room, or they'll hide. Right? They'll find a place to go, and that's fine. I get that. You don't need people bugging you. It was so funny because Jimmy and I made some connection. I don't know what it was, where like he would follow me around in the locker room all day. Like I'd walk out because I wanted to see a match. I'd look, oh, there's Jimmy Hart. Like, okay, cool. So we literally would hang out, and these guys meet how many of thousands of people a year. So after that was the first time I worked with him. And then 2 months later, he was at PPW, and I went and said hi and reintroduced and he remembered me like that. He had a chair. He goes, JD, man, pull up a chair. He goes, and he was so cold there. He went and grabbed a space heater out of a closet. He's like, get warm with me. And we hung out for another hour or so, like just the nicest guy and awesome. And I regret, like, I'm really bad in the moment because I don't mark it out. I really don't. In fact, I never really have.
I mark out up here, but I keep everything else here cool.
Yeah. So yeah, right. I guess that's how it is mainly.
Yeah.
Unless I met a certain guy, I mark out. But so Jimmy and I, we talked, and it's not like I asked him wrestling stuff. I like just chatting with these people.
Yeah.
I remember I had to drive Jillian Hall one time a couple hours. And
what a sweetheart she is.
She's great. And I'll tell you what.
I joined the Dark Order with her.
Oh, okay. All right.
It was me, 10, Angel, 10, 5, Jillian Hart, Tom Mitchell, and Brian from the podcast. And we all joined the Dark Order and took a photo together. And I tweeted, I said, check, join the Dark Order. Check, join with Jillian Hall. And the official Dark Order Twitter account retweeted it. I'm like, well, that's official. We're in.
That's it.
We're members.
Yeah. It was that same day because her and I had a show before that.
Yeah.
Like an hour and a half away. So I drove her to PPW. And I'll tell you what, for that hour and a half or whatever it was, we talked the whole time. We maybe talked wrestling for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Like we just talked about families and lives and marriage and divorce, and we just talked. And it was really good. I like those experiences. Mm-hmm. It's like, these are human beings, they're big stars, but they're human beings. And, so I've been very blessed to be able to be a part of all that.
Yeah, Jimmy Hart was at PPW, and he went into because he wanted to watch football. So he went in and he was watching the Bengals game when the Bengals were getting into the playoffs. And I just remember sitting there watching the Bengals game, and he's watching it, and we're just talking football. And I'm like, I got to go, Jimmy. I got to get ready for commentary. He goes, you go ahead. So I walk away, and my buddy Brian, who is the smartest and most knowledgeable wrestling person I've ever met in my entire life, I go, do yourself a favor. I said, go grab a chair and go sit next to Jimmy Hart and watch football. And he goes, see ya. And he does exactly what he did. And then a couple hours later, he walks up to me and he's holding a can of Coke. And he goes, guess who bought me this soda? And we're literally driving home. And I'm like, yeah, I remember when he managed like Hulk Hogan, and like when you were a kid and you marked out, you're like, yeah, I watched Bengals playoff game with Jimmy Hart. Like it's the world of wrestling is beautiful, man. And that's just a small token of what you experience there. But like going back to not being huge marks for names, but like meeting each other, man, like there's nothing better when you walk into the locker room and you get to see, like Brad, our Pinhat, or you, our Mad Dog, or just like everyone backstage, and you get that. It's not even the brother handshake anymore. It's the hug. You know what I mean? Like we all just truly care about each other. And the family you make in this business is beautiful. And then going out there and watching them work, and you're like cheering, rooting against them, but you're so cheering for their moment. And it's awesome. But here's probably my favorite moment of you at PPW. You ready for this?
Oh God. Okay. Oh yeah, that hurt.
There's Cosmic laying the hammer down on you.
Want to hear something funny? She knocked me out.
I know, you were fuzzy.
She did. It was funny because and I said to her, let's shoot. I go, if this works, the only way it works is hit me. I go, hit me. I go, do not hold back. Punch the hell out of me. I go, I'll be okay. Man, she has those. They're little knuckles, but they're fierce and quick. And like,
listen, this once again, going back to my MMA knowledge, the strength comes in the legs. She's got quads like a running back. She is a strong girl.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. So literally, I remember her hitting me, and I didn't snap back into it until I was on the mat.
I remember you rolled my commentary, and you were just like,
yeah, I was like, whoa, bro. Like, she legit just knocked me out for a couple seconds. And we got to the back and she's like, oh my God, I'm like, no, it was perfect. That's what I said. Do it. Just knock me out, Yeah. So it was great because it worked. It was real.
Yeah. Rembrandt, I love how you, Rembrandt, and Cosmic have that little banter with each other at every PPW show. Like it's leading to something there. But well, let's get into a little bit of personal thing. So you were kind of alluding earlier about you had some personal changes in your life. Let's dive into that a little bit.
Yeah. So really, it started with probably 2013. I was 360 pounds. So yeah, that would be me. People don't.
You're unrecognizable.
People don't believe that's me. I'm telling you, that is me. I was a bra size, B, double B, whatever. I don't know. Anyway, so it was to the point where I had my son in 2010. And so 2013, I was like 360 pounds. I'm like, all right, I got to do something. Like I could lose weight for a while, like 20, 30 pounds, but I gain it right back. So I finally made the decision to get gastric bypass. And I know a lot of people think that's like a cheating way out. It's really not. It was a long journey, man. I had my daughter in 2014. I ended up losing, I don't know, a lot. I was 360. Today I'm 170. So a lot of weight, right? 200 pounds, whatever it is.
And you don't just get surgery and the weight fall off. You have to work for it.
Yeah, because there are people that get that surgery and they'll gain it right back or they don't lose it. It's a matter of how you manage it. To this day, I still manage it. Not that I eat healthy all the time because I don't, but lost a lot of weight. But that led to a lot of changes. A lot of personal stuff that's, I got confidence. When you're big like that, 360 pounds, you don't have a lot of confidence. But I got confidence. Long story short, ended up with a divorce in 2016. And, my anybody that's been through a divorce, no divorce is easy. My life shattered, man. Did you
go through the divorce before or after the surgery?
The surgery was 2013. So 3 years after.
Okay.
Yeah. Which actually I found out is very common for gastric bypass is there's like a 45, 50% divorce rate of people that are married after gastric bypass.
If you don't want to dive into it, you don't have to, but like, what were some of the reasons is it like, was there like, well, now that you're looking good and maybe I'm like, was it stuff like that?
I mean, it was maybe that. I'm not going to put it all on my ex-wife. She's the mother.
This is not bashing. Yeah, I'm not bashing anybody. Yeah. I'm just trying to, yeah.
I mean, it was a lot of factors. The fact that, her and I have been together since we were 14. You grow apart at some point too. And then that coupled on top of it, there was a lot of factors. Honestly, if I look back now, it was probably more me than her. I can admit that, but that's kind of, those were the life changes. I was a wreck. 6-7 months after my divorce, I met this girl who was gonna, be my rebound, to help me get over it. And I ended up marrying her. We're still together,
What a knockout she is, by the way.
6 years.
Right? Not the girl in the front there. The second girl with the little yellow scarf. Yeah, beautiful human being.
That is my wife, Brienne. Absolutely. So That was, you talk about the life changes. And, before that, I was in insurance, marketing, and sales. And, I'd make 6 figures a year. I was doing well. Divorce changed a lot of that. And finally, I was like, you know what? How about I pursue being happy instead of being wealthy?
Mhm.
And that's how the wrestling came about, quite frankly. So that's how, ironically, the gastric bypass probably led to the wrestling, and here we are today. And I'm always trying to grow as a person. I got a long ways to go, man. I'm 37. I got a lot of growing to do, but this past few years, I like to think I've made some progress.
Yeah, that's a huge accomplishment, man. It's crazy to see people go through that change. Like that's something that's secretly on my bucket list, but it's just when you run 5 podcasts and work 40-hour work week, and then when your days off and consist of either podcasts or professional wrestling because you're chasing your dream, it's hard. It's hard to lose weight. I know
You
it's an
look great.
excuse,
You're fine.
dude. I'm like, how much do you think I weigh?
You,
Yeah, you won't offend me.
I'd give you no more than 220.
I'm around 220. Yeah.
Yeah. See?
I want to be around 170 with you, but I got to get there.
Yeah. Well, it has its days.
Yeah. But no, it's a challenge, man. Like people don't realize, like, working a job and then being in the professional wrestling world, people see these wrestlers and they think, oh man, they're killing it. Like their jobs are easy. It's like most bookers and promoters are still working a 40-hour job to try to put a show on for somebody. There's so many layers to this game. I think they see, it's like politics, right? You see top politics and you think minor politics are the same ways, and it's not. Like there's levels to everything, and it's tough, man. And like the big thing with wrestling is you got to look good for the most part. I mean, commentary, you can get away with it, but but when your only meal after a wrestling show is either the hot dog or pizza they provide you or a Wawa, your health options are not that great. And then you get home at 3 a.m. It's a tough life to live. So, going from where you've been to where you are now, that's a drastic change.
It's it's something. And it's funny because like not all foods sit with me, and some foods will sit with me one day and another day not. One food somehow always sits with me is hot dogs, which is so ironic in wrestling because hot dogs are like my favorite thing in the world.
I'm into hot dogs as well.
Yeah,
I love them.
I'm like a hot dog connoisseur, but I love them all. Like I've never met a bad hot dog. So
yeah,
I just don't eat a lot. So like I'll get them. It's so funny because I'll be out with people, like if we go out and at a restaurant, and I will literally eat maybe a third of my meal. And every time the waitress or waiter is always like, is there something wrong? And it's this constant conversation. No, everything was great. I'll take the rest to go. So if I go have a meal at a restaurant, it turns into 3 meals for me because I can eat it 2 more times. So
essentially what that surgery does is they reduce the size of your stomach, correct?
Yeah. So your stomach is your size of your fist, right? And so basically what they do, get it on camera, is they cut maybe all but 20% out. So it's gone. So you're left with 20% of your stomach. And now that can grow over time if you're not smart about it.
Yeah, because you're even though your stomach's the size of your fist, you can also stretch your stomach if you overeat.
That's how you get overweight in the first place. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's essentially what they do. And then I don't know if you want to hear this, they reroute your intestines and where, your food goes through. It's called Route NY, gastric bypass, because they're bypassing a bunch of crap and rerouting everything. It's one of the more dangerous procedures. So, it's safer nowadays than it was 15, 20 years. I'm actually the 3rd person in my family that's had it. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So, one more question I want to dive into about the character of Joe Davis, Team JD. Where do you channel that character? Where does that come from? Who do you pull from to turn into this person once you hit the curtain?
It's me. It's the devil on my shoulder me. Right. So, you see those old cartoons with the angel, and it's if my true arrogance at times at my worst were to come out to the world, this is what it would look like, and that might sound awful because no, I don't think that highly of myself, but it just every ego, every, egotistical thing that I could think of possibly. I am better than you. I'm smarter than you. I've accomplished this much more than you. It comes out, and that's really, and it's stupid. Comes down to these, the second I put these on, I literally transform. It's a weird feeling. And I hit that curtain and I am better than every single person on this universe, or on this planet, I should say. Yeah, I don't know if that's a great answer, but it's truth. Like, it's just, that's who I am.
That's honestly one of my favorite moments. If I'm not at the commentary table, or if I'm not helping like film or produce a show, probably one of the coolest locations you can be at a wrestling show is right before the curtain, that gorilla position, because that's where the change happens.
Yeah.
I have seen wrestlers who, and spoiler alert, 80% of the people who are in the business are complete fucking sweethearts and they're the coolest people ever. And you see someone who you just literally had a hug with and almost cried because you talked about like how they're going through their life troubles and how, like, times aren't easy for them, and they're just chasing this dream, and they're broke, and they're going through this, and they're gonna go risk breaking their neck for $25 and a handshake, and they hit that curtain, and that character just takes over them. Like, you literally see a transformation in their heart and their soul, and they turn into that character, and their love for what they're doing hits. I'm getting chills talking about it.
Yeah, I am too, dude. I am too.
Because it's such a magical moment to see someone do that. And it's not everyone in the business gets to experience that. Like, sometimes in WWE they'll show like, the gorilla position when someone hits the curtain and they just had the match and everyone's hugging them and they're like, what a fuck, like they just killed each other out there, and the other guy waits for the other one to hit gorilla, and they're hugging and they're talking, right. And they have that 15-minute decompress where the only other person they talk to is a person they just sat in the ring with for 5 minutes. That is such a beautiful, beautiful experience, and I'm so blessed that I'm part of that, where I get to see that, because that's just part of the wrestling that people don't see, and it's unbelievable to see just that transformation of character. Even when they hit the curtain, they're still whipping off of 8-year-old in the crowd saying, I effing hate you. And they hit that curtain, and then they just transform right back. And they're like, how was it? Like, they could be the most confident person ever, and they hit that curtain and they're Ric Flair, and they're like, woo, I'm better than you, baby. And then they hit the curtain, and the first thing they go is, did I suck?
Right. Did I screw up? Did I hit that spot right?
Like, yeah. And it's like, dude, you killed it. And like, you know what I mean? Like, and they're like, are you sure? Are you really? I have to. And then they run out to their friend or the one person they had who filmed their match, right. And they're there. You know what I mean? Like, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Yeah, that's why I always ask is like, where you pull that character from, or how do you get? Because I think that's a cool thing about wrestling that I think a lot of people don't understand.
I think most people, one way or another, whether you're heel, face, I don't care what you are, you're pulling a side of you out that you don't normally show. And if you do show it, you show it a little bit. You don't show it at volume 11, right?
Yeah.
So we're just showing it at volume 11 is all we're doing. And it's, you do get chills, especially, you get to the point where you have your own music. And it's your music. Like, people identify you with this sound. And that gets played and fans are screaming, or in my case, booing. And I come out and my song hits and there's just boos. And it's like, that just revs me up more. Like, oh yeah, we got him. That's a cheer to me, like, let's go. So, I wish I actually, a lot of the times because I took, I was in acting and stand-up comedy. I took acting classes for years, and they always taught this exercise. Before you go on stage, you turn your back, you close your eyes for 5 seconds, and then you turn and you're in character. So I still do that. If you ever notice me in Gorilla, you'll still see me do that to this day. I'll have my head down, and it'll be 5 seconds, and then I'll put these on. I'll turn, go to Gorilla, and do this, and I'm done. I'm gone. Until I come back through Gorilla, I am in character.
Yeah. It's such a cool thing. Now, listen, for the people who are watching, if you're a PPW fan or you're watching this just for the interview, if you still see Joe Davis and his music hits, boo the shit out of him and play into the character. That's a great thing about professional wrestling too, is when the crowd, even though they absolutely love you, they play into that character. And like I still do it with my best friends. My best friend will be in the ring and I'm like, you fucking suck. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. It's funny because I'll even come out at this point, Anthony. I don't know if you've noticed, I'll come out at PPW just for commentary before a match. And there's the last show there was chants, JD sucks. And I'm just coming out for commentary. And I'm like, got him.
Yeah.
Got him. My job is done today. You know, I did
and it's
my
funny
job.
because there's some people who still who get their seats now by commentary because they like that banter of us on commentary, or they like the experience like where you come out for commentary and I'm on commentary and you're coming out to manage, and I'm like, oh, here comes that slime ball again, and you walk by and you shut your mouth, and then like we kind of have that, yeah, and then or I'm like, and then you'll be like, if your team loses, which happens a lot, they'll come out and I'll go, you know, JD's 0-2 tonight, and you'd be like, I hate you, like, you know what I mean? Like, and the fans will be like, you tell him, Tony, like, you know what I mean? Like, that, and people purposely get their seats by commentary now because of moments like that, and that's exciting. I love that.
We have our little thing in that corner, right? Like, we really do. I mean, it's pretty cool. I love it.
It's beautiful. So this we can kind of put a little promo out. So if you are looking for something to do this Saturday and the weather isn't absolutely atrocious and they cancel the show, you can come hang out with us at PPW this weekend. It's going to be at, I'm going to pull up the whole thing here, 137 Aaron Lane, Broadheadsville, Pennsylvania. Doors open at 4:30. Bell time is going to be at 7. There's also going to be a meet and greet. So there's going to be a ton of really cool names that you can come meet. Griffin McCoy's going to be there. VSK, Brian Johnson and Mr. Yuta is a match on that. VSK, obviously, Impact Star. SPF, Primal Fear, Joey Martinez and Vinnie Mac are in a match. You're going to see Rebecca Scott and Layla Gray. Tons of women matches, which I'm really, really excited about on this. Yep. Heath Slater will be teaming up with Alpha and Nikki Duke to take on Ali Rex, Mike Orlando, and Bison, which is going to be a lot of fun. Also in attendance will be Mike Bennett, Maria Canellis Bennett will be there, and also he'll be doing a seminar. So if you are a wrestler looking to get some extra reps in, one of the cool things about Mike Bennett is he teaches people social media as well as on top of wrestling, because I think that's a very, very smart thing. Some of the conversations I've seen him have with some wrestlers about their social media game has been really, really cool. And then you can see Mike Bennett in action that night against Action Andretti, who in my opinion is the absolute superstar to keep an eye out in this area, because that kid is going to be a major star one day.
Big time. He's phenomenal. Every time I watch him, he amazes me. And you can, and really at PPW, Anthony, you can say that about a lot of guys.
Oh, there's tons of really good talent.
The future of wrestling is in really good hands, and not just PPW. You watch the bigger indies throughout the country, and yeah, there's no shortage of talent out there right now at all.
Then we have the women's champ, Danny Moe, taking on Taya Valkyrie, who was just recently released from WWE, who they're idiots for, by the way, because she is a mega star. And I'm sure you'll see her very, very soon on the big TV because she is absolutely stunning. And she's amazing in the ring. And if you know Johnny Morrison, Johnny Mundo, Johnny Wrestling, whatever you want to call him, that's her husband. So he's also pretty fantastic. And then for the main event that we'll get to call, Bro Keller, it will defend his PPW championship against the Lone Wolf, Davey Richards, which is going to be absolutely insane. Davey Richards, former MLW, the ROH as well, right?
Yep.
Yeah, he's done it all. You want to talk about a guy with some intensity and just muscles upon muscles and just a scary human being? That's Davey Richards.
Big time. That's going to be a hell of a match. So
yeah,
we'll lose our voices.
Yeah, that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's so many amazing matches on that card, but you can come hang out with us this Saturday at PPW in Broadheadsville and come watch some amazing wrestling. And you can buy trading cards and you can get yours autographed by myself and by Joe here. It'll be beautiful.
Well, they don't want you; they just want mine.
No, listen. Get yours autographed by me, and one day it'll be worth probably. Well, the currency in Russia is way down, so I'm sure it'll be higher than that eventually.
There you go.
Is there anything that we didn't cover that you want to get out there, or any plugs?
No, I don't think so, man. I had a blast. Real fun just kind of going through. I always love chatting with you. You know, we always have a good time.
I hunt another thing too. If there's an opportunity where Paul or EJ take a break in commentary and they're like, yo, I'm gonna take a break, you guys do it. I have like literally 15 to 30 seconds before the next match starts. So I will hunt him down and find he was mid hot dog. I'm like, put it down. Let's go. We got a match to do.
It was a good hot dog too. But yeah, I did.
He's like,
I showed up.
Yeah, because we don't have, because usually the way it works there is EJ and Paul are your mainstays, and then we rotate, and then sometimes somebody else will jump in there and do something here or there, or maybe like someone from the back will come out and do a match. But for the most part, it's we rotate. When you're not managing, I'm doing commentary, and vice versa. And then, but the moments that we get to work together, I really look forward to it. So I'm like, oh, I get a chance to sneak in with one with him, and I really look forward to it because you're very good at what you do, man.
I love it. I think you and I feed well with each other very well. And I think it's, the more we do it, the better we're getting. And I have so much fun. I do commentary a lot of places. So much fun at PPW, so much fun. And I hope we just continue to do it like consistently, you and I.
If you want to check out some of our work, I know PPW does have some of their matches on their Facebook channel, as well as their YouTube channel. You can go back. I believe you can listen to Mike Bennett and Casey Navarro that we called, as well as a few other matches that are on there. Or you can go on Fight TV and just search PPW Entertainment, and they will all be up there. The last 2 shows are on there, and you can hear JD on commentary, get to see him as a manager, and you can hear me on some matches as well, which is pretty exciting. But JD, thank you so much for hanging out and doing this. If you are excited for this season of Interviews with Everyday People, I have great news. I'm booked pretty much every Monday from now till August. I am slam packed with a bunch of amazing, cool guests and great stories that I cannot wait to have more on. And spoiler alert, there's going to be some wrestling people in the business on this season because I feel like they have great stories, and a lot of them reached out. And so if you want to get on at all this year, go to the website. There's a be a guest tab, or if you go to our link tree, there is a thing to sign up. It takes a couple seconds. Just give me a little bio that what you want to talk about. Just a full disclosure, I don't research you. I want this natural conversation so I can learn about you while we talk on the show. I want to also quick get in the housekeeping that we said we were going to do in the start. Our Patreon. So we do have a Patreon. It varies from $1 to $25, whatever you want to do. We do have a giveaway. Anyone who donates $10 a month to this they are in the running for a free T-shirt. All the money to this goes to getting microphones and cameras. Just another thing with the pro wrestling. A lot of my equipment is used to film wrestling shows. And trust me, I don't make a lot of money doing it, but I know if I can have a really nice camera that a guy can use that for his footage to possibly get signed to an AEW or a company, that's where I get my joy. So that's a lot of where my besides the podcast, where my money and company my stuff goes. But we want to thank Ryan Vox from Outbreak Wrestling for supporting us. David S, Brett Squared, Bridget M, Andrew H, Greg R, Heidi B, Ryan G from the Fueled by Hops podcast, Kelly from Crystal Mountain Healing, Tommy B, Tree of Life Metaphysical Shop, Brad Z, Higher Than Other Words podcast, and JH. Thank you all so much. And anyone who donates at any tier gets a shout out every single podcast. And we love you guys to death. If you go and buy any merchandise, whether it be Interviews with Everyday People, Tornado Tag podcast, take a photo and send it to us. We love that stuff, and we get to show that. And you guys are helping us with the word of mouth by telling people this podcast exists and wearing my silly face on your T-shirt. And it means the world to me. That's all I got, man. JD, once again, thank you so much. Anything you want to plug or get out there, where can people find you?
No, so find me wherever. Facebook, search Joe Davis or JD Joe Davis. You'll be able to find me. Facebook.com/JMDavisI. Twitter is Joe Davis 24. I don't use Twitter a lot. I should use it more. And then Instagram is Joe Davis 2484. So you can find me on there. And my website, www.imwithdavis.com. I'm not hard to find. I'm always here. So hit me up. More than happy to chat or whatever you want to know. I'll let you know.
Awesome. And you can go on that website and join Team JD.
Yes, we have a petition and everything, man. You can join Team JD, and we got the application right out there. And, it's fun. Absolutely.
You won't win a lot, but you'll have a blast.
No, you pay me. Right?
Yeah, you paid to rock those sunglasses.
Right.
But God, thank you all so much. We're gonna close out here with some awesome intro music, outro music, whatever you want to call it. Everyone who watched, thank you so much. To the people who commented, hung out, shared, liked. Any new likes here? Lisa with the thumbs up, thank you. James with the thumbs up. Mike Alvarado with the thumbs up. Anthony Wilcox with the heart, and Mark Bruchal with the heart. Thank you all so much. Like I said, it means the world. Tell your friends, take a screenshot of this if you're listening to the audio and you made it this far, and tell us what you thought about the podcast. A review, a 5-star review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts go a long way. And make sure you go follow us on all social media. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. We're trying to hit that 1K on all social media. So go help us out with a quick follow. That's going to do it for Interviews with Everyday People, episode 120. Joe Davis, we're out of here.